All right, so we're gonna get going here. So welcome to 9 longevity exercise secrets, and I appreciate you taking your valuable time to hang out with me. And I promise that I will over deliver my information to you for the next 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes. So get your notebook ready, get your paper ready, and we'll get going. Fitness does not equal health. And that's extremely important to know because we can get, as an older, mature athlete, we can get dysfunctional in movement and in a lot of pain from, first of all, not doing any exercise our entire life. That's for sure. But on the other end of the continuum, we can overachieve and we can overdo it and do too much exercise and get very unfit and very much in pain and in dysfunctional movements as well. So we have to make sure that we don't do the workouts we used to do when we were 20 years old and adapt those exact same workouts to do them when we're mature athletes, 50 and older, trying to golf, trying to hike, trying to bike. Because, when I was 20, my idol back then was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I was trying to do Arnold Schwarzenegger workouts to get bigger muscles. But those workouts won't serve me today if I want to have longevity in my plan for exercise and to do it for a very long time. Same with, like, if you were on a sports team when you were younger and doing really ballistic exercises, and even 30 to 40 years ago when I was doing that stuff, there's a lot of outdated stuff. And those same exercises on that sports team, if I were to do them now, would not serve my long-term athleticism. So it's very important to adapt a new style of training. And a lot of you train with me right now that are here, and some of you don't. But so you're already getting that new adoption, whether you know it or not. So welcome aboard, and let's continue on. I think one of you is not muted, so please mute. So I'm going to tell you the 9 secrets right now, and then we're going to delve into this as we go along. So secret number 1 is movement preparation. Prepare your body for movement. Number 2, tighten loose spokes. Number 3, slow and steady. Number 4 is BAM. Number 5 is train against the grain. Number 6 is turn your core off. Number 7 is Goldilocks workouts. 8 is the 3 back bandits. Number 9 is assess for success. All right. Did you know that you have a choice if you want to wear out faster or slower as we get into older age as an athlete? Because we can choose smart exercises and wear out slower and last a long time, or we can choose very hurtful exercises, whether you know it or not, and hurt yourself faster, or don't do any exercises at all. Because did you also know that wearing out over our lifespan is 20% heredity and only in 80% what your life choices are? So I'm going to give you a lot of density in life choices within this presentation. So buckle up. So secret number 1, we're going to dive into movement preparation, because you want to treat your car, your body like a race car, whether you want your race car to be gardening, or whether you want your race car to be hiking, or whether you want your race car to be an Olympic athlete. So there's also different levels of movement preparation, but we all need to have movement preparation because there are lots of times in our lives, especially as we get older, when we're sleeping for 8 hours, we're not doing any movements, and then we want to exercise right away. We have to prepare your body from a sleeping to an exercise and a transition. Or maybe you were doing some desk work for 8 hours and you want to transition from sitting to activity, because we can't go from 0 to 100 or it becomes hurtful. Or maybe you were in a car and you're traveling with your bike rack on. You've been traveling for 8 hours. Now you want to go biking or running. So we have to transition our bodies that way, because we want to treat our bodies like we're giving it oil changes often. If you've been sedentary for 8 hours, then the fluids in your joints and in your muscles, in different spaces in your body are a little bit stagnant, really, and acidic. Some byproducts of exercise from the day before might be in there. So we want to make sure that we get fresh fluids in your joints with fresh oxygen in with the good and out with the bad. We want to make sure that we turn on your dashboard. You want to turn on all the nervous system, get everything woken up so that all the coordinations of your muscles and everything can function in coordination so that you're performing better and less likely to get injured. Everyone that has back pain or knee pain, you have a parking brake on, and some people have a stronger parking brake and some people have a less of a parking brake, but we all have a parking brake with pain because your body is trying to slow you down so that you don't hurt yourself more. But what we need to do if we want to exercise and if we want to do some outdoor activity, we want to take off some of that parking brake so that we can start to move freer and get fluid exchanges, and gives us an opportunity to work out with less pain so that we can actually have a chance to get stronger, and a chance to start to heal. Because your body's really good at slowing you down so you don't hurt yourself more, but it's not as good as getting you back going again. So, a movement preparation protocol can be something you do for 1 or 2 minutes before a workout, or 1 or 2 minutes before an outdoor activity, or something that you do in the morning, like a morning ritual. Could be a 10-minute thing in the morning as like something you do every day, because we all brush our teeth to prevent our teeth from wearing out faster or rotting. And we do that as a habit. So we have to start doing movement preparation activities on a level to keep our bodies functioning over time, preventative maintenance for our body down the road. So some examples of movement preparation exercises are water flow, which could be like a self massage or foam rolling, or it could be something as easy as a hot shower or getting on an exercise bike and pedaling slowly just to get some fluid exchange. And the second thing I would do is try to wake up your deep core. Because if your deep core along your skeleton is starting to wake up, then your guarding muscles have a chance to turn off a little bit better. And then your external muscles, the muscles that move your body, have a better chance to function on their job instead of trying to stabilize and move. So a back brace is important. For such examples are balancing exercises, or breathing techniques, forced inhalation exercises, or like a forced exhalation exercise can trigger a back brace. We want to teach our bodies, we want to teach our muscles how to turn off. So there's some exercises to teach your muscles how to turn off, because all they do is know how to turn on. So that's important. But one of my secrets is turning the muscles off. So I'll get into more detail with that when we get there. We want to prime our balance in the morning in a movement preparation. We want to prime your mid back. We want to prime your glutes. And then we want to integrate all those central muscles so they can communicate with each other. It seems like a lot, but once it's all put together and you're used to doing it, it's like 2 to 10 minutes, depending on your time and how what you want to do with it. You want to treat your connective tissue like a sponge, basically. You want to squeeze that sponge, squeeze out all the old fluid. And when you release that sponge, all that fresh oxygenated fluid goes back in, whether it's your joints or your muscles. Does that sound good? So it's crucial to implement movement preparation for longevity of movement patterns. All right, we're going to go into secret number two. Secret number two is tighten your loose spokes. And some of you've heard this recently, but I love to look at the human body as a warped mountain bike tire. And some people are more warped than others. And when I look at a tire, I want to make sure I true the spokes. I tighten up the loose spokes, and then I loosen up some of the tight spokes to get that tire nice and strong or straight. But what I don't want to do is make sure I go to all the tight spokes first and loosen them to get that tire straight, because I could do that. Then I would have a bunch of loose spokes and a straight tire, but the next time that tire hits a rock, it's going to buckle. So the strength of that tire is not as good. So what I love to do when I assess a client is look for some really loose spokes and address those loose spokes and then tighten up those loose spokes. But I also want to make sure that that person is not spending their days loosening that loose spoke without even knowing it. For example, I find a lot of loose spokes in a lot of people in their lateral hips, on the side of their hip. And if you're doing a standing position, talking to your friend in transpose, where you're hanging off of your hip joint, that's stretching out that loose spoke and making that spoke looser, which is counterproductive. If you have a really loose spoke, then your body will counteract and tighten up to try to keep yourself together. And then you have tension, and then you try to stretch out that tension. So it's like a downward spiral. Other things that we do that we don't know for that loose lateral hip is sometimes you'll sit because it feels good because you have that mobility, and sit cross-legged and you'll loosen that loose spoke more, or you'll sleep on your side and your knees collapse. You're stretching out that loose spoke. So we have to stand differently, sit differently, sleep a little bit differently, and then you might be doing a stretching protocol because maybe you can do that stretch really easily because it's pretty loose. And so you do it as a habit, makes you feel good because you can do it, but it's counterproductive to your athletic life out there. So you want to make sure your stretches are only working on what's really tight. And you don't do a whole body stretch, you do a customized stretching protocol in that case. And then you can start to tighten up a little bit, tighten up being a positive thing for that situation. And then you get an exercise protocol that gives you um, loose spoke tightening exercises. So if your lifestyle is going in this direction and your exercise are going in the same direction, then you're getting your results. You're getting density of customization and you're getting athletic results. You're getting less pain in your knees and your lower back, and you're start to have better performance as well. You want to train yourself towards like a kangaroo in that case. Does that make sense? So it's extremely important to figure out where your loose spokes are and tighten them accordingly to have that long life of athleticism. Secret number 3, slow and steady. When we're starting to work out either for the first time, or you're starting to work out because you have back pain or knee pain or tension even, or you're starting to work out in a very different pattern, or you find that you're very sedentary because of your job or you're traveling, we need to start with a new exercise protocol that rebuilds your foundation. And so when you're rebuilding a foundation, you always have to start super slow and steady with that exercise protocol, because we want to make sure that we're tapping into the deep stabilizers. Remember, like the back brace and the movement preparation part, where all your stabilizers on your skeleton, they're all slow twitch fibers. And so if we're moving slow or doing an exercise that requires no movement but stationary, but it's challenging, and you start to vibrate a little bit, that's tapping in and challenging those deep skeletal stabilizers. And that's good because you want to get strengthened from the inside out. And then when you're strong from the inside out, your foundation is being built from the inside out. And then you have that exterior, all your exterior muscles that move your body are moving with that strong core, interior part of your skeleton. Hopefully that makes sense. So also, when we're doing a new style of protocol, moving slow is very good for quality control of your movement patterns. So if you're finding that you're getting out of bad form, you can correct it pretty easily. And it's also pretty good to keep your tissues under tension in the beginning, because then you can get some strength out of that. Your tendons, your ligaments, and your fascial tissue and your muscles can get stronger when you're going slow. It's harder to go slow in the beginning. So that's secret number 3 to get productive with your outdoor activity, is to go slow and steady for at least the first 12 weeks. And then you can graduate to other tempos down the road as you have a foundation and less pain. You can graduate to different strategies. All right, secret number 4 is BAM. Now, BAM is an acronym I've developed for my personal definition of your core. Now, a third of your core is your bum, B. third of your core is abs, A, and a third of your core is your mid back, M. And your mid back is where your rib cage is and your shoulder blades reside. Now, where BAM came from, I'm going to tell my story, but I'm going to do a shorter version of it. Some of you know my story and some of you do not. But about 20 years ago, I was quadriplegic. And that's not where I hurt my back or how I got BAM, but I was told I was never going to walk again. I got back to walking. It took me about a year to get back pretty functional. I'm like, wow, I'm doing good. I'm going to go back to bike racing because I hurt myself in the first place from bike racing. I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to bike racing because that's my mindset at the time. And so I started to train really hard and I trained too hard. And I shouldn't have trained that hard, but my soft tissue wasn't ready for all of that load. And so my back went out. Extreme back pain. I couldn't put on my shoes or my socks. My back hurt so much. And it lasted, like I was trying to figure it out as a personal trainer. I couldn't figure it out. And my back hurt for about 6 months. And I spent a lot of money on a bunch of different therapies and nothing worked. Um, but what I had to do, I was getting really frustrated because I was still a personal trainer with huge back pain. And I I had to figure something out how to train myself differently because I was doing all the old things I learned from 10 years before that, which was stretching out my lower back and bending my lower back, trying to get some traction on it with a inversion table, stuff like that. And all of that stuff kind of made it worse. So I had to figure out something different. And I went through all my past conference material from fitness conferences, all the past books and textbooks I was reading, and talked to a lot of mentors, a lot of the smart people in the world. I got a hold of them and all my physiotherapy friends and my chiropractic friends that were in Camor. And what I found was that we all say lots of good stuff, and lots of times we all say a lot of different things, but there was a common thread between every single practitioner and expert in the field of human movement performance. And in essence, it was BAM. That was the common thread. So I called it BAM and I put it together. And over the past 2 decades, I've been troubleshooting it on myself and my clients, and everyone's got a custom version of BAM, but it's working. And once I started implementing that into my life, I stopped stretching my lower back and strengthening it and aggravating it and just doing BAM stuff. I started to feel better and it lasted. And I haven't had back pain for 20 years now because of it. And I feel great. And so BAM's important because B, your glutes, they can easily get really dysfunctional as we get injured and we sit a lot. Our bum is supposed to be the biggest muscle in our body and the most functional and the most central, but it gets to be the smallest and the weakest. And guess what? Below the bum, the glutes are your knees. And they can, so therefore your a main foundation for your knees is gone. And then above your glutes is your lower back. And that's a major foundation for your glutes. If your glutes can't do the lifting, then your lower back has to do it. Above the lower back is your mid back. And a lot of people's mid back gets super tight from a lot of static sitting. And even road biking sometimes can create a lot of immobility in that T spine. Your T spine is supposed to rotate twice as much as your lower back. It's supposed to extend and flex twice as much as your lower back, but it gets locked as we get older from life, just from life. And then your lower back's got to do all the extra twisting and bending that the mid back can do. So above and below are huge sections that are not doing their job in most mature athletes. And what we got to do is put more responsibility back in those areas so that your lower back can go on its vacation that it deserves because it's been doing all the work. And once your mid back and bum fire stronger, they can start to communicate with each other. And then your abs can fire stronger because you can contract your abs when you want them to, but when your mid back and bum are starting to light up, then your abs actually have a better chance to perform even stronger. So that's BAM in a nutshell. And so it's important to have BAM in every workout that you do BAM in your life when you BAM it out when you open the door, you BAM out when you lift the box off the ground or pick up a child off the floor. You're BAMing in everything that you do. You become a BAMmer and you spare your lower back and you spare your knees to last a very long time. So there you have it. Secret number 4 is BAM. Secret number 5, we're going to train against the grain. It's so important to change your exercises often. There's a research study that I plotted down here where the first 3 months of an exercise protocol that you're getting into is you get stronger in your movement patterns by changing the exercises often over changing the loads of similar exercises often. So it's very important to change how you do things. Um, and therefore, we should be getting into less sport specific exercises as an exercise protocol. I'm not saying stop doing your outdoor activity. I'm just saying your supplemental exercises that you do in your home gym or your home space or at the gym, you should be doing stuff that's very different than your outdoor sports. If you love to do running and that's all you do is running, you can do some running style exercises in the gym, but most of your exercises should be going against the grain, going sideways. But having said that, there's a caveat here. If if your body's been moving forward, biking, running, cross country skiing, and it has never or not often moved sideways, we should start slowly and introduce easier exercises before we go into more advanced versions of moving sideways because you could get hurt. So that's important to know. Um, Changing directions and movement patterns that your body's not used to promotes motor learning and it creates more nervous system. It creates more variability in your fascial tissue, which creates more durability. Because if you're more variable, you're more durable. Um, so 4Q, for example, number 6 is you should spread out and plot out your exercises in a well-rounded version. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he would be in one quadrant of exercise where it's a lot of loaded unilateral exercises. He wouldn't go sideways very much because it doesn't serve his time and effort because he's really caring just about density and bulkness of his muscles. So he wouldn't waste his time going sideways. But for me, I want to be an outdoor athlete for until I'm 90, till I'm 100. I want to get some variability in there. I want to move sideways, but I also every now and then want to do some Arnold Schwarzenegger type of stuff to get some density in my bones and my muscles. There's a time and a place for all the different kinds of exercise, but we should be doing them all. We should be spreading it out, spread out the love and do them all. But we have to plan for that, right? It can be overwhelming, so you just plan it out. Your soft tissues become adaptable, your joints become more protected and more durable, and they last longer. You strengthen sideways to run forward. You can, if you strengthen exercises sideways, you'll find that your forward running becomes lighter, and you have a little bit less aches and pains. Now, having said that as well, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. There's a journey you go through. There's the first 12 weeks where you start to feel some traction. And then there's the next 12 weeks when you graduate, you start to feel a little more traction. And soon the roots of the tree grow deeper and deeper. And next time there's a heavy wind, you're not going to get as injured. You're more unbreakable. Number 6, we got to teach your body how to turn off its core. As we get older, injured, desk ridden, our core tends to stay on, and all your postural muscles as part of your core tend to stay on, and you become more robotic, and your joints don't get a chance to expand and contract. There's less pressure changes because the best athletes in the world, their core turns off at the most appropriate time, and then the core turns on against a ground reaction force. And then the best Olympians in the world, they know how to, their core turns on and off super fast. Because you'll see the sprinters in the Olympics, their muscles are turning on and off when they show it in slow motion. I love seeing that kind of stuff. And you know how elegant they look when runners go? That's because they have that fluidity and that transition in their on-off switch. And so what I like to do when I train my clients, I like to express how they should brace their abs when they're pushing against something, and then turn your abs off in between repetitions. So you're tightening, pushing in between reps, turn off. That's like a really, really fast explanation of that. And so then your whole body becomes a beating heart, expanding and contracting, pressure changes all the time. And that's important because your fluids need to process through your body and your heart can't do all the work. But if you create pressure changes in your workouts that translate to outdoor fitness, then all the other fluids in your body can move around and in your lymphatic system and so on and so forth. So it's important to train your body to turn off for longevity in outdoor sport. Secret number 7 is your Goldilocks workouts. You don't want to have a workout that's too easy because your brain won't get challenged. And if your brain's not challenged, you're not going to do the workouts anymore. But also if it's too easy, then you're not going to get that stimulation for adaptation. You won't get the tissue density, or you won't get the changes in your body that you need to get stronger to get less pain. And perhaps you will do a workout that's too easy because you just don't know, or you're afraid to hurt yourself, so you don't know where to start. Or maybe you did a workout you've done 20 years ago and you're still doing that workout. I've seen that happen, and it's too easy at this point. And so you're just kind of spinning your wheels and wasting your time a little bit. You may not be hurting yourself, but you're not getting stronger. There's on the other end of the spectrum where you can get a workout that's way too intense, or you feel like you're still 20 in your brain and you're doing a workout that you did 20 years or when you were 20, and you're hurting yourself, or you're getting an exercise program that was prescribed to you that's way too hard for you, and you just mentally can't wrap yourself around it, and it's frustrating and demoralizing, so you stop doing the workout. You stop doing the workout because it's too much mentally, or you're hurt now. So what you got to do is get that exercise program that's just right. Your threshold is right here. You want to get a plan that's challenging that threshold, so you're working out right here, and then once that's getting a little bit too easy, then that threshold gets pushed up, and then you graduate to the next level, and now you're working out at that level, and then it gets pushed up. Now you're getting more durable up here. Your roots are growing deeper up here. You're less likely to get injured. So another thing about the Goldilocks workouts is you want to make sure you're working out on everything that you're not good at, your loose spokes, your weak muscles, your inefficiencies. I'll see a lot of people walk into the gym and work out on things that they're really good at. They're good at leg press, for example, and they'll push that leg press really hard, but they'll subconsciously will not touch the stuff that they're not good at, and maybe they don't know how to find those inefficiencies. So you do everything you're not good at, so then your outdoor life becomes a lot stronger. Your golf game becomes a lot better. Like one of my clients today texted me and said, "My best golf game I've played in a long time." And that's your assessment tool from doing your Goldilocks workout. So it's important to not waste your time and do stuff that's too easy or too hard. You want density and customization so that you have that workout that enhances your outdoor activity. Because if I want to be a 110-year-old mountain biker, this is the stuff that I have to keep doing. All right. Secret number 8 is the three back bandits. You don't want the three back bandits to rob you from your athletic life. So, did you know that if someone has back pain, for example, most people will do the three back bandits. They'll use the three back bandits as their solution. And these are the three things you should not be doing. There's the stretch bandit, there's the strengthen bandit, and the rest bandit. So now we have to get specific here because there's going to be a lot of things here that you're currently doing that most of us currently do. I see it in the gym all the time, but I'm going to be really specific here. And if you have any questions about this, ask me at the end of this talk, and we can get deeper into this debate. It can be a debate. Stretching is an analgesic, and some people will have, a lot of people will have a really tight lower back. And the reason that a lot of people will have a really tight lower back from being over athletic is because their bum or their mid back perhaps isn't doing its functional capacity, and so the lower back is doing more than it should, or the lower back is a little bit loose and your lower back is getting tight to keep it all together, or your lower back's tight because it's got the parking brake on. And what people will do is they'll do direct lower back stretches, which makes it feel good temporarily for 15 minutes because stretching is an analgesic. It's a painkiller. It feels good, but it doesn't solve the underlying solution. In some cases, it can make your back worse. Some cases, it doesn't make your back worse, but it just doesn't solve it. So you're stretching it for the rest of your life and you're not getting better and more athletic outside. So that's number one, the stretch bandit. The strengthen bandit, people will have a tight lower back. When I've had my gym, people come in and go, Neil, my back's really tight. That means my back is really weak. Can you give me some lower back exercises? And then I'd have a big conversation with them to make sure I know what their goals are and give them some advice accordingly. But to strengthen your lower back directly means that, first of all, the lower back is a little bit tired and exhausted throughout decades of its life of doing a lot of the prime movement, of lifting those boxes with your lower back, so on and so forth. So I would instruct my clients to rather not stretch the lower back directly or strengthen the lower back directly as a prime mover. You want to strengthen your lower back as a stabilizer, but not to lift things or to do the muscle action, to rather strengthen or stretch your BAM as needed. If you have a tight part of your BAM, stretch that, and you're going to get better results. If you have a if you have to strengthen a weak glute, strengthen that instead of the lower back directly. That gives the lower back a chance, a window to heal. And then from there, you can go on. And then there's the rest bandit. The rest bandit is for people that are just too scared to do anything because everything hurts. They don't know what kind of exercises to do, but they've tried exercises and it really hurts. So after a while, they just stay on the couch because that's the safe place. Don't do anything, you're not going to get hurt. But therefore, you're not out there with your family exercising either. So you just got to know what to do. So I also want to address the 80-20 principle because if you're trying to stretch out a mid back, 20% of that stretch might go into your lower back. And I feel that that's okay because it's a spinal cord. We're all connected. But as long as we're not trying to do an 80% lower back stretch and 20% into the mid back, I want it to be the other way around. Same with the glutes. If you're doing a stretch in your butt, but your lower back's getting involved in that stretch as part of the process, that's okay because we're connected. But we're not trying to aggravate that lower back on purpose or not on purpose. Then you're starting to heal. If you're starting to heal, then you can exercise more effectively, get the results that you want, and you're cross country skiing for a very long time in your life. The last secret is secret number 9. You want to assess for success. You want to target your weak links. You want to find out where all your loose spokes are, all your extremely tight spokes, and take out all the guesswork. You want to dial in your Goldilocks workout, your level of BAM, and you want to have it all mapped out for a 12-week plan because I just gave you a lot of information. But if you don't know where to start and you want somewhere to start, get an assessment. There's lots of amazing physiotherapists in town that can find these things for you, give you a starting point. And then when you get graduated from physiotherapy, you still have a little bit of tension, but you've graduated from a lot of pain, you're ready for a sports medicine style personal trainer, then you can go to that level. But you want to map out these things so you're not just guessing. And then you get your results really a lot faster. More purpose in your workouts, because then if you know that your workouts have purpose and you know you're working on things that you're not good at, then you know you're leveling up. then you're more likely to do those workouts. So the 9 secrets in summary are: prepare your body for movement. You want to tighten those loose spokes. You want to start slow and steady, no matter if you are a dynamic athlete. Do the workout slow and steady to start. You want to be a BAMmer for the rest of your life. You want to figure out your level of BAM and work out accordingly. You want to train against the grain, train differently, train in different directions, but start smart and do it safely. You want to teach your core how to turn off in your workout so that it translates to your outdoor life. You want your Goldilocks workout figured out. Get as close to your threshold as possible. And avoid the 3 back bandits and put all your effort into BAM instead of the back bandits. And then you want to assess for success so that you have focus, you have your roadmap laid out for you. So your next steps are this. If you found one thing today that was the biggest thing for you, I would just take one thing and implement it into your life. If you found like all this information was like drinking out of a fire hose, just take one of these things and implement it. Try it for 3 months. I also have a gift for you. For those of you that are not currently my clients watching this, I would love to assess you. I can do it online on Zoom if you're not in Canmore or Calgary. I can assess you for $30 off, but if you're around and you're not currently my client, I haven't assessed you yet, then I will do it for $30 off. So all you have to do is scan that QR code. It'll take you to a screen where you can purchase that. And then once I see that you've purchased it, I will contact you and set up a time for that assessment, and we'll map you out. So thank you very much for spending your time with me.